Hi guys, my name is Lemmy and I'm the artist behind the YouTube channel Lemia Crescent. Today I will be showing you how I mix a dark skin tone using Sakura Koi coloring brush pens. I do this in 4 steps: base color, highlights, shadows, and blush. We will be using a watercolor technique with the brush pens to paint the skin. Other supplies you need but are not limited to would be water and a brush, or a blender pen, a paper towel for mistakes, and a piece of scrap paper or plastic to act as our painting palette. This image was lined with a black Sakura micron pen, and I also used a classic Sakura jelly roll in white for the detailing at the very end. The colors I will be using today are brown and dark brown for the base coat, light sky blue for the highlights to the skin, burgundy and steel blue for the deepest shadows, and finally, salmon pink for blush. As always, blush is a completely optional step and depends on your personal preference. The first thing I would like to mention is that there are 2 colors used in each step. The reasoning for this is that mixing colors creates a much more colorful and interesting piece. If we simply use one color, the image will appear flatter. Color mixing is really fun and you can get lots of different looking results. I suggest you experiment with it. The colors I listed are the colors I'm using today, but are definitely not the only possibilities that you can use. Now let's get started on the coloring. We're going to begin by using our base colors. I first apply those colors from the Koi coloring brush pen directly onto a scrap piece of paper. I then take a brush with water, or you can use that blending pen I mentioned earlier, and transfer the color from the paper palette to the drawing itself. If you are having difficulty getting the pigment onto your brush, you simply need to use more water. Here I am applying the dark brown, which is the lighter of the 2 base colors that I have chosen. I am trying to get a very flat and even application of the marker ink covering her face and her body. Afterward, we let the picture completely dry before moving forward. The reason why I use my scrap paper palette to transfer the colors from the markers to the picture instead of the markers directly is that the markers are very pigmented. Because of this, the colors would be far too bright and too vibrant for a realistic skin tone. By adding water, we are essentially diluting the color, making it easier to work with. The next thing that we need to do is pick our light source, which in this picture is coming from above. The areas I want to highlight will mostly be her cheeks. How I do this is I take a wet brush and very gently scrub up the color on her cheek area. Then you can either take a paper towel and dab up the color, or remove the color using the brush itself, and then by cleaning the brush on the paper towel to remove the pigment that way. Once the color is lifted a bit, I apply the light sky blue highlight color onto her cheeks. It should be a very pale blue tint and blend into the previous layer of color. Let your piece once again dry before we move forward. As I had mentioned, our light source in this picture is coming from above, so that means our shadows will be below. So where I place shadow colors would be underneath her bangs, under her nose, below her lips, within her ears, and most importantly, on her neck. For the initial shadows, I take the darker of the 2 base colors. This color is called brown, and I apply this to the shadow areas I just mentioned. I then take burgundy and apply it to the shadow areas and let mingle with the brown. By adding the burgundy and the light blue, we create a really interesting and pretty toning to the skin, giving it more life. At this point, I'm going to add in the blush. While the paper continues to be wet, I take the salmon pink and place it on the cheeks and let the colors mix. I find with blush that a little color goes a long way. If you're not satisfied, keep adding pink until you get the desired color that you're after. I also use this color for the lips, but I also mix in a bit of the brown and the dark brown of the base colors to tone down the pink. Let your piece completely dry before moving on. If for any reason your colors start to wander into places you do not like, if the surface is still wet, take your dried brush and try to redirect the flow of the color. Other things you can do is mop up some of the color with a paper towel. If the color is dried and in the wrong place, you can correct this by adding water to your brush and scrubbing up the color as we did on the cheeks earlier in this video, and then either removing it or smoothing it out. After the picture has completely dried, I use the burgundy straight from the pen for a deeper color. I add this color to the darkest shadows sparingly, still letting the underlying layer show through partially. This will give a harsh look to our piece, so then we will take some water on our brush and soften up those hard edges. As you can see, now we have a very warm picture. So to counteract this warmth, we will use a darker blue called steel blue. I place this very close to our line art in the darkest corners of the shadows. Like the burgundy, I then blend out the harsh edges with more water. If you notice one area is extremely warm, as you can see here, just wet your brush and soften it by blending the color outward. By now, we have a picture that is almost complete. At this point, I begin doing a few touch-ups. I take the brown base color and add a very light layer onto the more subtle shadow areas, like the sides of her face, her ears, around the eyes, and the neck area. The goal here is to make the shadow layers blend into the first initial base color using a thin diluted paint layer. The end goal is to have a really soft and nicely blended color transition. And now to finish off the picture. This section of the video that shows the hair and eyes being colored is time-lapsed. If you are curious about how I color hair and eyes, these technique tutorials are available on Sakura of America's YouTube channel, along with a tutorial on how to paint a paler skin tone using the Sakura Koi coloring brush pens. You'll see here that I have used the classic white Sakura jelly roll to add highlights to the skin. I placed the highlights on her cheeks, nose, and lips. Like the blush, this step is completely optional, but I feel like it really brightens the face and adds life to the character. You can find more information on Sakura art products by going to www.sakuraofamerica.com. I hope you have enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!